Hello, you are watching Tender News. Ministry of Education scam. Who made money off school buses?
Thank you sincerely.
And who put school children's lives at risk to make a buck?
It burned completely. After we went out in just 8 minutes, the bus was gone.
The bus did not burn.
Evidence of a major fraud by the Education Ministry. Each government agency has a certain budget, the access to which is often the main goal of politicians coming to power. Making cash at the people's expense is what unites many officials in our program, and we show you the evidence. The only difference is what enriches those in power. For example, the Ministry of Fuel and Energy and Naftogaz purchased an expensive drilling tower at almost double the price. Ministerial canteens make a living off raspberries at $100 a kilo. How do officials at the Ministry of Education get rich? Not just off textbooks at $70 a piece, like we described earlier. School buses. Our program has learned striking facts about how, during the procurement on student transportation, the top managers at the Ministry of Education, through an uncomplicated scheme, funneled a third of the budget money to front companies. The rollback was $1.25 million. Moreover, in their pursuit of profits, education government officials purchased school buses that are a hazard to children. But let's start at the beginning. It seems that in 2010 the Ministry of Education announced a tender for the purchase of school buses, already knowing that the Kherson factory Ante Rus would win. Other applications were ruthlessly dismissed. Even the Borispil auto factory's bid, which was cheaper by $400,000. The official reason: the package did not contain data on lack of criminal records of the factory's representative. A year later, this rejection led to an investigation by the State Audit Office. We have the inspector's conclusion.
The lack of this document from the Ministry of the Interior Office is not a reason to reject the procurement offer by Borispil Auto Factory. Therefore, the Ministry of Education's procurement procedure for school buses for $4 million was held in violation of the law in procurement.
By groundlessly rejecting a cheaper offer, Ministry of Education officials have cost the state $400,000. The auditors determined and sent the materials to the security service. The SBU launched a criminal case which is still being investigated. We went to the Ministry of Education, Tabachnik, to get a first-hand account of how his agency is explaining the damages suffered by the state. You say it's not true, but the SBU is investigating a criminal case. More than $1 million went to a conversion center.
I repeat, it's not true.
Do you know there is a criminal case?
I know it's not true. It's been proven by the auditors and the prosecutor's office.
We have obtained an official confirmation from the State Security Service that Ministry of Education officials are under scrutiny, no matter how much the minister doesn't want this to be true.
We inform you that the division is investigating criminal case number 1773 concerned with the misappropriation of another's property by officials of the Ministry of Education and Science of Ukraine, considered a crime under Part 5 of Article 191 of the Criminal Code of Ukraine.
The SBU wrote us that more data cannot be revealed from a pre-trial investigation. Yes, the case is still under investigation because after digging deeper, they have encountered not only the $400,000 in damages found by the audit inspectors. According to the investigation, the organizers of the transaction have made at least 3 times more money. Part 5 of Article 191 of the Criminal Code is the worst, for it involves large-scale embezzlement organized by a group of people. We have learned exclusive details on how $1.25 million were made on the purchase of school buses. So, contrary to a cheaper offer, the Ministry of Education commissioned a supply of 1,200 Anton buses from Ante Rus for $4 million. Let's trace where our budget money went afterwards. In late October 2010, the Institute of Innovate Technology and Education of the Ministry of Education pays Antaras its first tranche of 1.5 million, and in 2 months it sends the remaining funds another 2.5 million of the budget money for the buses. At the same time, Antarus conducts a series of strange transactions. We have the documentary evidence at our disposal. Literally, within days, the Kherson automobile dealers transfer $1.25 million to the accounts of 6 dummy firms. Documentation shows them as compensation for consulting services, software and so on. Public money via the Kherson factory went to the accounts of the companies that exist only on paper. We have checked all 6. We can say with certainty that they are all fictive and closely related. For instance, a day after receiving government money for the buses, Antarus transfers $125,000 to LLC Langedok, established by Valery Atamanenko. The businessman lives in the Bishop village near Kiev. We are looking for your son, Valery Viktorovich Atamanenko.
What for?
A company was registered in his name. It's called Langedok.
It doesn't exist anymore.
But was it registered in his name?
Yes, it was, but it was registered for just 4 months. You better look for the person who registered the company.
Your son did not know about it?
Of course not.
Another alleged partner of the Antarus factory in fulfilling the state orders for the supply of school buses is LLC Mivant. Its founder is 25-year-old Alexander Shapoval from Kiev. His signature is on all the bills. It's likely that he doesn't have a clue either.
He was probably heavily into debt, sold his apartment. He is not very well off. Alcohol, yes.
Also, among the founders of various companies which received public money were 2 relatives and some other villagers. All these firms had accounts in the same bank, Boguslav Bank. The explanation for so many coincidences is simple. All were dummy firms that belonged to a single conversion center. This instrument was used by the organizers of the deal to pocket 1.25 million of the budget funds during the purchase of school buses. This has already been established by the investigators and inspectors, and by us too. It seems that in their pursuit of profit, officials have sacrificed the safety of our school children. So when audit inspectors arrived to Ivankiv to take a look at one of the buses purchased at inflated prices, it turned that it had burned. It went up in flames while transporting students. We asked the Minister of Education how that could have happened, and he again demonstrated wishful thinking.
I don't want to answer your untruthful question because the bus hadn't burned and you tell lies publicly at a press conference.
However, we have found exclusive copies of the photos of the bus, or rather, what remained of it. We went to the Ivankiv district to ask eyewitnesses why a brand new vehicle had caught fire and if any children were hurt. This story was hush-hush at the time. The school children were on break. They were being taken to Kiev to go on a trip to Europe. There were 9 children and 9 adults in the bus.
It was a regular trip. It was the newest bus in our area with a run of 2.5 or 4,500 kilometers. It had just passed a maintenance check.
We did a head count, the parents said goodbye and we went off. Later we noticed smoke coming from under the front of the bus. We asked the driver to open the door. Everything burned. After we went out in just 8 minutes, the bus was gone along with our things. We just let the children out.
Fortunately, only things suffered. The children still went to Europe, albeit without their things. Everyone started wondering about who is to blame for the fire. The cause was determined easily. It was a short circuit in the wiring in a new bus just after a check. Prosecutors do not blame the driver. On the contrary, during the fire he had acted professionally, evacuated the children and used the fire extinguisher. Initial defects? The plant refuses to recognize them. The debate goes on. But Ivankiv is not the only place complaining about the untowed buses purchased by the ministry.
This is not the only case in Ukraine. There were 6 or more. What quality buses were produced?
It wasn't funny anymore. A random bus from the series was examined. We have a unique document from the State Consumer Standard Agency of Ukraine.
Test results revealed that the selected sample bus does not meet government standards. We also informed that the operation of the vehicle with the identified violations of the requirements could endanger the lives and health of passengers.
And what about the fact that these buses do not meet the standards and they are a hazard?
This is also not true.
Everything is untrue with the minister, but evidence and documents weigh more than words. And the truth is that 1.25 of the 4 million budget funds allocated for school buses went to a conversion center and dissolved in the channels of the scheme's organizers. Obviously, it was necessary to save money. The Kherson automobile factory provided children with buses on Chinese chassis, recognized as life-threatening by the State Consumer Standard Agency, and the money that should have been used to transfer children instead seems to have filled the scammers' pockets. The winner of the Ministry of Education tender, the Kherson company Anturuz, is not owned just by anyone. It is controlled by the deputy head of the Kherson region administration, Natalie We know that this person came into focus of the Council of National Security and Defense. The SBU was asked to find out how the official is involved in the transit of budget funds to false accounts and how he can explain why the buses designed for children pose a threat to their lives. However, as of yet, no one is to blame and no one has been brought to trial. In our country, such cases demand political will. The fact that there is none is evident. Recently, the Ministry of Education under Dmitro Tabachnik quietly purchased a new batch of school buses, this time from the Borispol automobile factory, but only after firing the previous director, who had complained of losing in the last bid.
This year, the Mykolaiv area will for the first time receive 37 buses by September. The government has fulfilled its obligation. Thank you sincerely.
We will monitor whether this case goes to court, whether those responsible for embezzlement of state property and those who had jeopardized the lives of children for the sake of profit will be punished. We once again welcome everyone mentioned in our program to express their views. We will gladly provide the airtime. We always strive to find the truth by presenting the viewpoints of all parties involved. You were with Tender News. Thanks for watching. Together we will continue to analyze and monitor how officials are spending the money from our pockets. See you next Monday.